Hey there, and welcome to this week's From the Vault episode from the Magdalen House podcast. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization based in Dallas, Texas, and known affectionately by many as Maggies. Every first and third Wednesday, we bring you a new release. In our From the Vault episodes, we share past podcast releases from our 3 different podcast series, Recover Ed, Recovered Interviews with Alcoholics, and Hope for the Family. Our podcasts aim to connect, inspire, and educate alcoholics, loved ones, and the community to the Magdalen House and the services we offer. We're so glad you're here. Thanks for listening.
Hello, podcast listeners. My name is Stephanie Crawford, and I am the host of this here podcast, Recover Out Loud. And today on Recover Out Loud, we will be doing our flagship series, Recovered Interviews with Alcoholic Women. First, I want to say, if at any time you feel inspired by this, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, rate us on Spotify, share with a friend, do all the things that you need to do to get this message out so we can offer more experience, strength, and hope all over the world. Today, we have a lovely human with us, and I mean that. She is a lovely human being. She is very refreshing and fun, and I remember, this is a fun fact, I remember when her sponsor presented her with her 2-year chip, and she said, I know what all you guys are thinking. All of you all are wishing that you could sponsor Kelly. And now I know why she would say that, because you're a delight. So anyways, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to hand it over to Kelly, and she'll introduce herself and just give us some background information about what her alcoholism looked like and what led her to a place to want to get sober.
Oh, okay. Well, hi, I'm Kelly. I'm a grateful recovered alcoholic. My sobriety date is March 29th of 2019, and I'm super, super grateful for that. So what led me to getting sober? I didn't know, well, I knew that I had a problem with alcohol for a while. I had a difficult time controlling how much I drank when I did drink, but I didn't really try and stop drinking for a really long time. It appeared to me that like everybody around, I started drinking when I was 14. And so to me, it looked like everybody drank the way that I did. And so I didn't really see a problem with the way that I drank. And for a really long time, I didn't have any consequences as a result of my drinking. So it didn't occur to me that there was a possibility that at some point I would not be able to stop on my own. So I didn't try to stop drinking until I was like, I think I was like in my mid-20s. I was married, and it was starting to cause problems in my marriage. It was starting to cause problems at work. Like I wouldn't be able to wake up in time at work, and I had the shakes a lot of the time, but I was a barista, and I did like latte art as a barista, and so I joked about how my shakes really helped me in creating latte art, because you have to like wiggle your hand in order to do latte art. Like I'm showing Stephanie right now that you're supposed to wiggle your wrist, and so I joked that, oh, it's just, I'm just really good at latte art. But it was really starting to affect a lot of different areas of my life, and so I started trying to stop, not super seriously, but kind of seriously. Like I wanted to be able to drink like a quote normal person. I wanted to be able to drink like a lady. And so I tried to stop. I tried to moderate my drinking. And of course, I was unable to, because I'm an alcoholic. So it wasn't until really at the end of my marriage / right after I got divorced when I really like wholeheartedly started trying to stop drinking. And that was back, I think I was 28 when I got divorced, or 29. My brother-in-law at one point found me drunk downstairs in their basement and pretty much gave me an ultimatum, said, you either have to go to treatment or the mental hospital or go to some sort of meeting, or you can't live here anymore. And so I thought, well, I probably should stop drinking. Like I should actually try. So I did. And it lasted for about 2 weeks. And then I thought I was cured. And so I rewarded myself with a beer. And that was the start of my, that was the start of my last spree. So then when I moved, sorry, I'm giving like my whole life story. I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
No, I mean, you've only been talking for like 3 minutes. So
okay,
you're good.
Cool. I'm like trying to really like make it concise.
There's no structure here. So,
okay, cool. No rules.
No rules.
So I ended up moving to Texas with my family. I grew up in California, in Southern California, and for some reason they let me move with them. And I was drunk during the move. I moved into a trailer on my family's property. And so I always joke that I was like the stereotypical alcoholic aunt living in a trailer down on the ranch. Like at that point, I had tried, like I thought, I tried to stop drinking, and I can't. And so it's almost like I resorted to, or like I decided that this is just how it's going to be for me. Like, I'm not going to be able to stop drinking. Eventually, I was going to go meet some guy off of Tinder.
Nice.
And I thought, well, I'm super nervous, and so I better pregame. So I did. And so my one glass of wine turned into a whole bottle, turned into, let me break into like my reserves that I have. And I was super drunk, and I ended up driving and crashing my car. I got arrested for the first time. I totaled my car. My family didn't want to have anything to do with me. That was like my first, like, all of the consequences that I could have ended up happening like on that one night. And so that's when I ended up going to treatment. But at that point, I didn't know that I was an alcoholic. I knew that I was, maybe because I couldn't drink right, but I didn't know what it meant to be an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. And so when I was in treatment, I finally learned what an alcoholic was. And then I was like, oh, dang it. Well, I'm screwed. Like, I can't stop.
Will you say what an alcoholic is in case we have anybody who's listening who doesn't know?
So I'm an alcoholic. So what that means is when I drink, something happens in my body that produces a craving for more alcohol. What I like to say is, like, for me as an alcoholic, when I start drinking, I'm already thinking about my next drink. And that doesn't happen with people who aren't alcoholic. So when I take that first sip, my body just starts craving more alcohol. And it's not, that part of alcoholism is purely physical. Mm-hmm. So I'd always think, like, why can't I control myself when I drink? Like, I'm stupid or I'm crazy or something like that. But the cool thing about that particular part of alcoholism is it's purely physical. So I have a friend who says you could cut off my head and pour alcohol down my throat and my body would react the same way. So there was no amount of me willing myself to not crave more alcohol. Like, I would do it because it's a physical reaction. And then the other part is I have an obsession over alcohol, which is the mental part, which is what makes it impossible for me to stay stopped. So, people who aren't alcoholic, who experience consequences as a result of their drinking, are able to stop, sometimes with difficulty, sometimes with not very much difficulty. But for me, no matter what the consequences were, my mind would always drive me back to taking that first drink, either by me convincing myself that I'm cured because I went to meetings for 2 weeks, or that I deserve it because I'm such a good employee, or in order to have fun at this baby shower, I need to have something to drink. So something will convince me that alcohol is a good idea or not a bad idea.
Right.
So, but that's, me as an alcoholic. I'm bodily and mentally different from my fellows.
Now, does alcoholism run in your family?
It does.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. On my dad's side. Well, we think. I don't think that they ever tried. I don't know if they ever tried to stop or moderate, but my dad's parents drank alcoholically. So. And
so this time in treatment has been the only time you've ever gone to treatment.
Yeah. Before, I always struggled, like, emotionally. So I had gone to hospitals to, receive treatment for, like, my depression and anxiety. But yeah, this is the first treatment center. That was the first treatment center that I went to stop drinking. So yeah.
And so, I mean, I know some of your story. So your first time in treatment, you are already completely desperate.
Yeah.
So did you come in completely willing and desperate, or did that come?
It's weird because it kind of like came and went and then came back. So I remember after I got in my car accident, I was sitting with my dad on the side of the road waiting for my car to get out of the impound, and it was totaled. Like, I wasn't going to be able to drive it, but I just remember sitting on the side of the road with my dad and just saying, I want to kill myself. And I told him, if I go back home, if I am able to go back home and live in my trailer, I'm not going to come out. I don't know how to live anymore, and I don't want to be here anymore. I'm sure that was horrific for him to hear, but it was true. Like, I just didn't know how to exist anymore.
Yeah, I get that.
And so I didn't know if there was a way for me to live happily without alcohol, because I had never seen that before. Mm-hmm. So I was desperate in the sense that, like, I just didn't not want to do life the way that I was doing it anymore. And then when I found out, what was different about me, and I saw somebody who, my sponsor, who is happy and, like, sober, and she doesn't think about, that was the biggest thing, was not thinking about drinking, because I was always thinking about drinking. And I knew that in order for me to stay sober, in order for me to stop drinking and to be okay about it, I would have to not think about drinking. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to try to stop drinking, because I was already trying to do that.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. So it was like when you saw what life could look like,
yeah,
then the willingness came, kind of thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And it was, I didn't know, like, what the program was about at all, really. And so I was just so completely out of ideas that I would have been willing to do anything. Mm-hmm. And, the fact that, this worked for my sponsor, and it sounded like she drank a lot like I did. It was like my alcohol got me willing, and then listening to my sponsor helped with that as well.
No, I mean, I kind of have a similar situation, because what really drew me in, because I had many of attempts of trying to get sober, mm-hmm. but I was never like happy, joyous, and free, like you hear it can happen. And so the idea of being sober wasn't appealing, because either I was always thinking about drinking, like you were saying, or I was miserable, or both. Mm-hmm. But when I saw somebody who told me, like, Stephanie, this is a beautiful life, mm-hmm. and he was sober, and he was talking about how he had a beautiful life in sobriety, that's what I wanted. And I was willing to go to any lengths if I could get that. Yeah. I wasn't willing to go to any lengths if I had to be miserable in sobriety.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, like, I have a similar situation. I mean, I guess it sounds like we've had similar situations with that.
And this was, like, the first time that I had ever heard of the solution, the way that the book outlines it, because I had never looked in the book. I had never talked with an alcoholic who was able to recover. And so, like, I was really skeptical. It was almost like she told me that she doesn't think about drinking, my sponsor. And I was like, oh, I don't 100% believe you, but I don't care.
Right.
So
if there's a possibility, that maybe.
Yeah.
So why did you pick her as your sponsor?
Because it seemed like she wasn't going to, like, let me. I felt like I needed someone to be difficult with me. I don't know. Like, she's tough. She's, like, a really tough person, and she always tells me the truth and doesn't sugarcoat things, and I felt like that was something that I really needed. But also, it looked like she had her life together. Like, her roots were done. She had, like, a car, which I didn't have at that time, and I was like, oh my gosh.
We're done. I love that.
Yeah. But I felt like she would be able to help me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, she is tough.
Yeah.
But clearly, like, it's coming from, like, a loving place, because you've stayed with her this whole time.
Yes.
So can you, because we were having this discussion last week about staying with the same sponsor, switching sponsors, and, like, my story is just, you came in to the tail end of that. Yeah. In my stories, I have had multiple sponsors in my sobriety, but I know Kelsey and you have had the same one, different sponsors, but the same one the whole time. So can you tell me, how has that relationship grown and evolved from where it started to where it is now? Is it different? Do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot different. When I first started working with her, a lot of it is due in part to me and how I've grown. Because when I first started working with her, I was really afraid to disappoint her, or I was really afraid that I was going to work, the steps wrong. It was like a lot of fear. I did not know how to have meaningful relationships with people at all, because I cared pretty much solely about how other people thought of me. And so I kind of feel like she almost taught me how to be a human, if that makes sense at all, just by leading from example. So she's not afraid of what people think of her, or she at least it doesn't seem like she does. And just through 10th stepping with her and talking with her about how afraid I am of disappointing people and stuff like that, I feel like, I don't know, she's taught me a lot. And so now my relationship with her is, I feel like we've grown closer in like a friendship sort of type of thing, which I think is really cool, because I didn't think I would ever be able to be friends with somebody like her, since she's like really successful and very honest, and that intimidated me. But it's not intimidating to me anymore. She's swell.
She's a swell gal.
Yeah.
Well, so you were talking about, her not being afraid of like what people think of her, and how you were so afraid of that. And I feel like that's like a common fear that we have. And I know that I can struggle with that as well. Do you feel like you have outgrown that fear?
No. I mean,
do you feel like it's gotten better?
I feel like it definitely has gotten better. And one of the coolest things, though, is, so I feel like my higher power is, there are some fears that my higher power has like relieved me of. And then there are others that I feel like I've received the tools in order to just push through those, even when it's really scary for me. So dealing with people, talking with people, and forming relationships with people still makes me really nervous, but I feel that it's weird. I feel like I have a lot of support from my higher power in order to just do those things. So it's less intimidating for me to talk to people now. I still get fearful over it, but I feel like it's something that I can do, as opposed to something that I'm too afraid to even attempt to do. Because I was afraid to go up and introduce myself to somebody. But now, because of recovery, just having the practice in talking with people, and then, the different prayers that I'm able to pray, I feel like it's something that I can do now. So, but yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day who is like afraid to talk to people, and she asked me, do you still have that fear? And I was like, yeah. And she was so disappointed. She's like, no, don't say that. And I'm like, well, but maybe someday eventually I'll be less fearful over that. But for right now, the direction that I've received in meditation is to put myself in uncomfortable situations, so that way I can have help overcoming that fear. So
yeah. I can still get scared too. I will go through, I probably don't seem like I'm afraid of people because
you don't.
I'm a podcast interviewer. But I will go through phases where like I am socially paralyzed of people. Like I remember a couple years ago I was at Recovery's Got Talent, and literally there was a group of guys that I'm friends with. Like I know them. And I come in and I'm just see them and I turn the other way and walk super fast past them. And I remember one of my friends had called me a couple days later. And he's like, "Are you mad at me?" And I was like, "No, I'm just afraid of people." And like that still can happen to me, and I'll just spaz out and have to get out of there. So yeah, if there's anybody listening who is hoping that maybe that fear will completely go away someday, according to me and Kelly, it has not. But we could be the exception, or you could be the exception,
yes,
is what I'm saying. But I like how you said that, how some of them have completely gone away and then others you have the tools, because one of my favorite lines in the big book is that all men of faith have courage, which means that we will still have fear, but we will have the tools and we will walk through the fear. So can you tell me, had some of that, and I'm going to just stay on this one of fear of people or talking to people, did some of that come from like 10 stepping? Is that where some of the tools came from, was through 10 stepping?
Yeah, well, yeah. A lot of the time, me fearing what people think of me, it came to my attention that it's very self-centered for me to be afraid of those things, because I'm more afraid of how you see me than I am concerned about like how you're doing.
Right.
And so honestly, just being aware of that has been really helpful in driving my attention toward the well-being of others, as opposed to, oh, this person thinks I'm an idiot. So 10 stepping, yeah. I mean, the biggest thing has just been going out. Okay, so there's a line in the book, and I always mess it up. I can't remember. Maybe you can help me. But is it common sense becomes uncommon sense, or is it vice versa? Is it the other way?
Thus common sense becomes uncommon sense.
Yeah, which I don't know if this is the correct meaning for it at all. But the way that I took it is basically like common sense for me back, when I was drinking, is if I feel intimidated by somebody, or if I feel nervous around somebody or nervous to go to a place, I would not go. So common sense is, okay, just stay home. If you feel uncomfortable, just stay home, right? But uncommon sense in recovery for me is to go and do the thing that scares me. And so that, I think, that particular line in the book, I don't know if that's what it means, but it's really helpful to me.
No, I love that. And hopefully we said it right.
Yeah, I don't know.
If we didn't, I'm sure somebody will correct us.
Yes.
And we're okay with that.
Yeah.
So another thing that you were talking, I love the whole, I'm more concerned with what you think of me than how you're doing, because I recently had something occur. The fear of what people think about me can cause me to, I used to hate the word boundaries, because I feel like it's such like a fluff word, and I don't like the word people please, because people pleasing is just manipulating. Anytime I hear a sponsee say people pleasing, I'm like, are you sure it's people pleasing, or are you lying? Right. But it will cause me to act out in manipulative ways, right? Because I'm so afraid of making somebody not like me, because if they don't like me, then I lose that validation that they give me, and like that in itself is also selfish and self-centered, you know? I didn't know we were going to get on this topic, but I like it. So would you say, because I mean, basically we're talking about like 4-step stuff and 10-step stuff, like fear inventory type stuff. Now, when you wrote your first 4-step, did you realize how fear-driven you were, or did that come later? Or
no? Well, while I was writing it, I didn't 100% understand why I was writing it, even because like I had never been through the steps before, and so I didn't know. Like I couldn't see it at all. I couldn't see my selfishness. I couldn't see the fear. I couldn't see a lot of the delusion that I had, because I was so like wrapped up in myself, which the fear really helped with it. Even when I went through all of this stuff with my sponsor in my 5th step, it still took a lot of convincing. And the thing that really convinced me of my selfishness and my self-centeredness was just like living life and 10th stepping through all of those things. It took me a while to see those things. So, and it can still take me a while to see those things. Like if I'm 10th stepping and I call my sponsor and I, I'm talking about how, I feel so stupid. I said this thing, and she's like, that's selfish. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't see that. So yeah.
I feel like that's whenever I really saw mine for the first time too. I remember 10th stepping something to my sponsor, and it was like early sobriety. And I was like, have I always been this selfish, or am I just now this selfish? And she was like, you've always been this selfish. You're just now seeing it. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But what a gift.
Yeah.
I mean, self-awareness is like, it's a gift if you want to do something about it and you want to give it to God. Sometimes not so much a gift.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
you're like hyper aware of.
Yes.
You're like, oh my gosh, I'm a doofus.
Yes. Well, I remember you sharing one time about your experience with the 4th and 5th step. In the book, it talks about if we leave something off that we might drink. And so do you mind talking about your experience with that? You don't have to tell us what the thing is. But.
Yeah, I'll be vague. One time I was really specific when I told my story, and it was so awkward because there was like 15 minutes left for questions, and literally everybody just latched on to that thing.
One thing.
Yeah, and I was like, I really don't want to answer questions about this.
Yeah.
So I've learned my lesson. But yeah, so in my first 4th step, so I was, like I said, I was married. We were married for like almost 8 years. And it was not a good marriage. It was abusive, but I didn't know. Like I I did not have a word for what happened during our marriage. I just didn't know how to articulate it. And so in doing my fourth step, I included my ex-husband on it, but the reason for why I was angry with him was fabrication. Like, I wasn't truthful about what happened. Mostly it was because I didn't know how to word it, what happened, but then also I wasn't ready to be honest about that. And so I went through my fourth step or my fifth step with my sponsor, and I didn't feel like a whole bunch of relief afterwards immediately like I thought I was going to. I was just really tired. And I don't know if that's because I wasn't 100% truthful in my inventory or not, or if I'm just a really tired person.
I mean, it's a tiring process.
Yeah.
So.
But what ended up happening was probably like a year-ish into my sobriety, I started just obsessing like over my ex-husband. And I was very distraught. I was very fearful that he was going to do the same thing to somebody else. I was like, stalking him on the internet. Like it was pretty bad. I was very, very wrapped up in him. And I kept 10th stepping about it with my sponsor. I was like, I don't want to focus on this person, and I'm really afraid that the same thing's going to happen to somebody else. And so finally, through 10th stepping it, we realized that I wasn't truthful in my inventory. So I was able to...
So hold on, did you know that you weren't truthful the first time?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
So what happened was when we were doing our fifth step, I had my ex on there, and my sponsor, asked me about it, and it was like I completely shut down and like was crying. I really did not want to talk about it. And so I think that she sensed in doing the fifth step that I wasn't ready to just talk about it. Mm-hmm. And so she just moved on, probably knowing that at some point this was going to pop back up. And obviously it did. So yeah, I was knowingly not truthful about it because I did not know how to articulate what it was that I didn't know that there was a word for what happened. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, we ended up doing another inventory on him, and I was able to realize my part in it much better because I was actually I was willing to talk about it this time because I was tired of being so concerned about this person that lives, like 1,000 miles away from me. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. So I was just tired.
Mm-hmm. Did you end up making amends to him?
No. He's in California. I took a trip out there, but I did not, I don't know if I was ready at that point, and I don't know if my intentions for making amends to him were the right ones. Mm-hmm. So...
Do you think you will?
I'm willing to.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm willing to. I don't know if I will or not. So it just depends on what my higher power decides. So, but if the opportunity arises, then I would be willing to do so.
How did you get to a place where you were willing?
Honestly, after doing that inventory with him, it's just like the willingness came on a little bit by a little bit. Like after doing the inventory, the second time on him, I still wasn't really willing. But I think that because I've grown more spiritually fit since then, I've become willing. Mm. So did that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, the willingness
it just comes.
It just comes. If we haven't the willingness to do this, we ask until it comes, meaning that the willingness is going to come.
Yeah.
And I just was like, mind blown.
Yeah. It's cool.
It's so cool, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so totally like off subject. Can you talk a little bit about what early sobriety looked like for Kelly Rides the Bus?
It was very, I was just following orders, essentially. I was just doing what my sponsor told me to do because I didn't know what I was doing.
I have a question real quick.
I have an answer.
Okay. Did she ever hurt your feelings?
Yes.
What would you say to someone whose sponsor hurt their feelings?
Okay. Well, for me personally, in my case, she just had my best interests at heart. And my feelings were hurt because I was sensitive. You know, my little ego gets bruised easily.
Same.
And so she just told me what I needed to hear and not what I wanted to hear, and that hurt my feelings. But for somebody whose feelings are hurt by their sponsor, I need to remember, and I feel like everybody should remember, that their sponsors are human too and can sometimes make mistakes. And so, but also, if you need to 10th step about your sponsor, 10th step about your sponsor. It's not going to hurt her feelings. So it'll probably help
I've been
her.
on my sponsee's nightly inventories before,
Yeah.
and they've sent them to me, and I've seen my
Yeah.
It's the best.
It's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess just remember that, you know, hopefully, you know, your sponsor has your best interests at heart, but also she's a human being and, you know, she's not a robot.
Gosh.
Yeah.
All right. So that's why it reminded me of that question, because you said I was taking orders. So taking orders.
Yes. Taking orders. And just for me, it was like, so I'm new, or I was new to Dallas when I got sober. Like I moved to Dallas to go to treatment and then just like never left. And so I didn't know anything about being just a sober person. Like I felt like alone in Dallas. And so any direction that my sponsor had for me, I took it. So when she told me to read this in the book, I read this in the book. When she told me to go to Maggie's, I went to Maggie's. When she told me to go to the 2-4, I one time tried to tell her that I did not want to go to the 2-4, and then she called me out, and I was like, oh, sorry. I actually made amends to her for that.
Really?
Yeah, because I was dishonest to her. I told her that my toilet was broken in my sober living house and I couldn't go to the 2-4 because I had to fix it. And so she told me that someone else can fix it and I'm not like the toilet police. So
nice.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just early sobriety was just me kind of like going through. It almost felt like I was going through the motions and I wasn't sure. I didn't know anything about having a spiritual awakening or a spiritual experience. And I wasn't even really that concerned about whether or not I wasn't concerned about having a spiritual awakening because I was literally just doing what my sponsor told me. And then eventually she informed me that it looks as though I had had a spiritual awakening. And I was like, oh, that's pretty sweet. So yeah.
When did she say that to you?
I was 10th stepping with her about something outside a frozen yogurt place. And, or not 10, I was just like, I don't know. I think I was just complaining about something, like a coworker or something like that. And she asked me, yeah, but when's the last time you thought about drinking? And I couldn't remember. And so that's like when it popped into my mind that previously she had said, the people around you are going to notice that you've had a spiritual awakening before you have. And so that's when I realized I had a spiritual awakening, which was pretty sweet.
That is pretty sweet.
It wasn't sudden. It was gradual. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't have a car.
No.
Did you have a job?
I did. Yeah.
Where was your job?
It was in downtown Dallas. So I had to I just took a bus to get down there. It was pretty.
Kelly rides the bus.
Yes. Yes. Hence the name.
Hence the Instagram handle, y'all.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to find her, that's what it is.
Yes. There's pictures of my dog on there. Lots of pictures of my dog.
So the dog, that's another thing.
Oh, yeah. My sponsor hates it when I talk about this, but
Why?
It's one of my favorite things.
I think it's so good.
Well, so when I was in treatment, I was very, very concerned about being able to find an apartment so that I could live with my dog. Like my dog was like, some women are worried about like their children. Some women are worried about, something or like their job or whatever. I was worried about my dog. And
so, because you were living in the trailer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was living in the trailer. I actually had 2 dogs and 2 cats in a little tiny FEMA trailer. And so when I went to the hospital after I had gotten in my car accident, my 2 cats and one of my dogs were rehomed. And so I just had my 1 dog. And so while I was in treatment, I was just very concerned about being able to live with him, to the point where eventually my sponsor just told me, Kelly, your dog's going to get you drunk. That bothered me a lot. And I was very annoyed and upset that she would say that, because I'm like, no, my dog is my relapse prevention plan. Like, when I feel like drinking, I'm going to go on a walk with my dog. And which I didn't understand that that's literally not a thing for an alcoholic.
No.
And so, you know, eventually I was talking to somebody else in the treatment center, and she's like, yeah, you know, you should find a new one. And I thought, well,
A new sponsor?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was like, well, this lady, you know, like, I started working with her for a reason, so I'm probably going to continue working with her. And so I did. And eventually I was able to get my dog back. You know, he was living with my parents for a while, and I was living in sober living home. And, you know, eventually I got my dog back. But I needed, you know, in order to take care of my dog, like, I need to be sober.
Right.
And so that's the most important thing.
You need to be able to be a good dog mom.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So
Did you make amends to your dog?
I make a living amends to my dog by just continuing to do the best, to just do what I'm doing, pretty much just treating him with respect, which is kind of like weird, but like just providing for him and things like that. But I didn't sit down and talk with my dog. I know some people actually do, literally do that.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
So, but I didn't.
And I had a roommate who was like, well, this is part of my amends to him, like her dog. And I know that that's like a big thing. And I, you know, like, I respect that. I don't have that relationship with animals, but I know some people do. It's like a real thing. So clearly this will probably be helpful to someone who is also having the difficulty of leaving their animals. I wonder why she doesn't like you talking about that. It's so helpful.
I think because she was unusually harsh to me in that moment by saying, you know, your dog's going to get you drunk. But it was 100% what I needed to hear. Yeah. Because me sacrificing my recovery in order to be there for my dog was going to make it so that I could not be there for him at all anyway, because I would be drunk. If I tried to move into an apartment with my dog in a city I had never lived in before, without a job, without a car, like, there was no plan there really at all. No. I was kind of delusional.
Yeah, very delusional.
Yeah.
Like we can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have a car today, right?
I do.
And you have an apartment today?
I do.
And you have your dog today?
I do.
And you have a job today?
I sure do.
Oh!
All those things.
All the things.
Yes.
Right? That you didn't have in the beginning.
Yes.
That a lot of us can get consumed with in the beginning, with getting all of the things back.
Yeah.
Did you struggle with that, like being consumed with getting the things back, or were you just able to just throw up your hand?
I wasn't consumed with it, but I was concerned. But I had a lot of guilt over not being there for my dog. But my sponsor kept having to remind me that, you know, your dog will forgive you. And then I don't fully remember what my job hunt process looked like, but I'm sure there was a lot of fear in there, which is...
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I want you to say this because whenever you looked for a job, you were like, I can't work.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So talk about that.
Yeah. So I have always worked in the service industry, so like with food and restaurants or cafes. And so usually with that... like, I would always be very concerned about having like open availability so that I can get scheduled as much as possible. And so my sponsor, when we were, you know, when I was in treatment, she basically told me, you're going to go to this commitment and this commitment and this commitment and this commitment. She didn't ask me. She didn't say, can you? She just said, this is what you're going to do, which I really appreciated. But now all of a sudden I had to find a job that would allow me to be able to go to those things, which is something that I'm just like, I was not used to doing. But I think it's really important. Like if I've got, you know, this particular place to go on this day and it is imperative for me to go there, like if it's for my recovery, then I can't make exceptions for it. This is something that I have to do. And people all over the place have commitments that they need to go to and that their jobs can make exceptions for, you know? So when I went and applied for jobs, I was like, I am an alcoholic and these are the things that I need to go to, or else you're not going to have an employee for very long.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Cause I mean, we can see that not just Next Up, but just newly sober people in general. It's like, yes, I'm willing to go to any lengths. I'm willing to do what you say, except I cannot not have open availability.
Mm-hmm. That's that fear, like it's like fear of financial security, or insecurity. I was in fear of people not liking me because I wanted my boss to be like, oh, look at her. She's got open availability.
Yeah.
What a great employee.
Right. She can be counted on for anything.
Yeah. And then I get drunk.
And then not counted on for anything.
Right.
So what would you say to a newly sober person who is like starting completely over and who doesn't have anything, kind of like where you were at?
Okay, well, a couple of things. So one thing that my sponsor told me that I was very skeptical of, but I actually really like now is like, so I lost a lot of my things, when I moved into a sober living home. Like I lost 75% of my pets, my car, and all of these things. And so I thought that I was never going to get those things back. I was never going to have nice things. And so my sponsor told me one time, God wants you to have nice things, which I was like, that's kind of like a weird thing to say, but like I wholeheartedly believe that God doesn't want me to, I don't really know fully how to, don't resign yourself to like never having anything, because you don't know what your higher power is capable of. I'm not saying that like you're going to get like rich, you're going to get a nice apartment, you're going to get like a Lexus or whatever. But I never thought I was going to get a car because I didn't think I could afford it. And like I was eventually able to get a car. We can recover from things like that. But then another thing too is if you're starting over with nothing, and if you're like me and you're in a new city, you don't know anyone, just do what your sponsor says. You don't know anything. I didn't know anything. My sponsor knew more than I did, and I just had to follow her direction. And after following her direction, and a lot of it included, her just taking me through the work. I know people, like I have meaningful relationships, and like I'm still sober, and I just did what my sponsor said, and I just did what was in the book. So, yeah.
And you continue to do those things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. I don't
graduate.
win I don't graduate.
Yeah. Yeah, not at all. So would you say that you're happy, joyous, and free?
Yes.
How amazing, huh?
I know, it's weird.
It's wonderful.
I like it.
So we talked about like getting the stuff back, right? But what has the program done for you internally?
Oh.
Besides being happy, joyous, and free.
Okay. One of the biggest things is like peace in all circumstances. I don't always feel peaceful in every circumstance because I get in the way of that a lot of the times. But I know from experience that I am able to have peace in all circumstances if I remember to do the things that I'm supposed to do, which is steps 10, 11, and 12. If I continue to do those things, then I can continue to have peace in all circumstances, which has been really helpful for me, especially, during the pandemic, when normally I would be freaking out. Like I lost my job during the pandemic. Everybody was struggling during the pandemic. I don't know, just a peace in all circumstances is my biggest thing. And also learning more about who I am as a person has been pretty big, because I didn't know who I was at all when I was drinking. I didn't even know who I was when I started this work. But the longer I've been doing the deal, the more I know about myself, and the more I like myself too. Like even with all the stuff about me that I 10-step all the time, I enjoy who I am, or who I'm becoming. So
what a gift.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Before I ask you the two final questions, you mentioned doing 10, 11, and 12. Is there one of those that you struggle with the most?
Yeah, 11.
Dude, the reason why I asked you is because I'm struggling with it.
It's hard.
Oh, I was like literally as you were talking, I was praying. Literally as you're talking, like, please God, give me the willingness to get disciplined in 11 again.
Yeah.
I'm going through it. Like with not being, my step 11 is right now currently is just hit or miss.
I feel like that's one that a lot of people struggle with.
I hate it.
So I had to start sending my sponsor my nightly reviews because I wasn't doing them. And then at one point I had to start doing gratitude lists because I wasn't meditating in the morning. And so I heard somebody say that it's a matter, like step 11 looks different for everybody. And it's just a matter of finding something that works for you. And I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
But yes, and it's weird because in sobriety, like I've gone through like sometimes I don't do, like in the beginning, I never 10th stepped. And then I did not want to go talk to other alcoholics in my 12th step. But right now it's step 11. So it's like weird. I go through different phases. Yeah.
You know, I'll hear like step 11 looks different for everybody, and I'll run with that.
Yeah.
To like get myself off the hook for like half-assed.
You're like, well,
things.
step 11 for me looks like a 2-minute.
Yeah. It looks different for everyone. I'm seeking God.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, there was something that I heard that you said maybe at some point, which is if in my 3rd step prayer, I said I was willing to go through the rest of the steps, right? And so why am I making exceptions for step 11 when in the 3rd step prayer I was willing to go to any lengths or something? I don't know. I'm like paraphrasing. Maybe you didn't say that. Somebody did.
Sounds good.
But it was really helpful to me because I'm like, well, was I really serious about doing the work then?
It's so true though.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it is so true.
Yeah.
And I do think about that. Like, am I willing to go to any lengths?
Yeah. And that's why we pray for the willingness.
Right.
When we're not. Because it happens. Like sometimes I'm not willing. Sometimes I'm not willing to go and do my 12th step. Sometimes I don't want to go to like.
But see, the difference for me is even if I'm not willing to do step 12, I'll do it anyways.
Yeah.
You know?
But step 11, it's like, mm-mm.
But step 11, I'm just like.
You can do that in the privacy of your own home. And
I mean, you can literally do. I mean, I was meditating and praying after Breakfast Club up here. I used to come up here every morning and do prayer meditation up here because I have 2 kids and I just and I stopped doing that. But anyways, this is not a step 11 talk. But I'm holding myself accountable to you and to the listeners. I'm getting back on it. So, because isn't life just so much better whenever you're doing 10, 11, and 12? It just is.
It just comes together.
I know.
Like I said, even in all circumstances.
Yes.
You can have that peace, just provided you're doing.
Yes.
You know,
and I have a lot more trust in God when I'm disciplined in step 11.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, so what's your favorite part in the book?
Oh, ooh, I don't. That's a toughie because it's all really good. But the thing that popped into my mind first was the appendix on the spiritual experience.
Why?
Because I didn't know what it was when I first got into this, and when I read Bill's story, and it talked about his spiritual awakening or his spiritual experience, I thought it was supposed to be like the cherubs descending from the sky and the clouds parting and like a light shining down upon you. And it was like a big, super huge experience, which is why I didn't notice that I had a spiritual awakening. But the appendix in the back talks about how it can be an educational, air quotes, educational variety. And I believe that's what my spiritual awakening was.
What is a spiritual awakening for those listening who don't know what it means?
Well, I like to describe it as like I had like a change in perspective.
Yes.
So instead of everything being about me, I started focusing more on other people and what I can pack into the stream of life instead of what I can take out of it. And so I didn't notice that my way of thinking had shifted for a while, but it slowly started doing that over time. So for anybody who's like really concerned about like, oh, I don't know what it looks like, or, you know, I didn't hear, you know, hallelujah or whatever coming down from the heavens, it is defined in the back of the book. So if that's helpful for anybody.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So my final question is, and how fun has this, have you had fun?
Yes, I have had fun.
All right. Good.
I feel like I know you on a deeper level.
I feel like I know you on a deeper level. All right. So my final question for you is, if you could leave us with one takeaway where it's only going to be one thing that somebody was going to hear, what would you want them to leave this podcast knowing?
That there is a solution, that if there's a part in the book that talks about, I'm paraphrasing, my brain has turned to mush because of my alcoholism, I think. I can't remember anything. But there's a part in the book that talks about take away the alcohol problem and ask yourself why you've had a rough going of life. Like if you're struggling and you're not sure if there's an answer, there are women all on this podcast who can attest to the fact that they have recovered from the seemingly hopeless state of mind and body due to alcoholism. I have recovered from it. There is hope, essentially. There's a solution to the problem. And it's weird because I thought it was going to be complicated.
Yeah.
But it's a really simple solution to what actually turned out to be a really simple problem, which is I'm just bodily and mentally different from my fellows. I'm just an alcoholic.
I wanted that to be complicated too.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not.
It's not. It's really simple, which is a relief, you know, to me. So there's a solution. There's hope. It takes work, but it's simple. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much. If y'all have loved what you heard, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Your review matters. It helps us reach more alcoholic women or alcoholic men. Podcast is for everyone, which is ultimately what we are trying to do. People need to know that there is a solution and that there is hope, and that also all of the services we provide at the Magdalen House are absolutely free, so you don't even need money to recover. You can recover with grace and dignity here at the Magdalen House, and your review helps us get that out there. Also, rate us on Spotify, share with a friend, upload us to your Instagram story. You can tag Kelly Rides the Bus, the best Instagram handle there is, and the Magdalen House. We would love to hear what you have to say. And until then, I will see you guys on the next episode.
We hope you've enjoyed this From the Vault re-release of the Magdalen House podcast. Tune in every first and third Wednesday for a new release from one of our 3 podcast series. To learn more about the Magdalen House and the services we offer, visit magdalenhouse.org or follow us on your favorite social media channels by searching for the Magdalen House.